Hi everybody, welcome back to Talk with TQ and the Energy Stoners Cafe. I'm here tonight with someone that's very dear to my heart. I stumbled upon her work. She's an artist. I stumbled upon her work when I was taking my usual walk down by the riverfront green in Peekskill, New York. Her name is Cathi Karas. She does amazing driftwood sculpture, and I remember looking at this piece of work that she had on the beach under the footbridge, and I'm thinking, I thought it was a person sitting there, and as I'm walking closer, I thought there was a guy down there. I'm thinking, how do you get down there off the bridge onto the beach? And as I'm getting closer and closer, I realized this is not a person, this is a sculpture, and it's made of driftwood and quite rudimentary, and you had me fooled. Cathi, thank you for being on the show.
You're welcome, Toni. It's a pleasure to be with you.
How long have you been doing amazing art like this?
Probably over 10 years. I always go by my husky's age because I take my husky everywhere in the woods because I'm always alone.
Yeah.
But the last year Mary retired, so Mary's been joining me, which is nice to have company.
Yes.
So yeah, over 10 years.
And Mary is your cousin.
Mary is my cousin.
And she's also the liaison.
Yes, she's my model. Like she sat on a rock to show me how she would fish, and that's how I developed Christopher down at the
the fisherman
river. Yes,
the fisherman.
So I could see how her arms were postured and her legs, and I had her do the same thing with all the other figures we put down there. I just had her simply sit and relax and be become that person, and then from there we did the arms, legs, body.
It's amazing, to see your work, because I've seen since then other sculptures of other figures doing other activities besides fishing, and most recently, because of the weather, you have this all on the shoreline.
I did.
Yes,
I did.
You had made a beautiful angel, and in the springtime, I guess the angel wings were made of like the foliage.
Yes, yes. We weaved all the grapevines in and out of the driftwood, and that's how we did it. Yeah,
it's amazing. Now I'm just going to share with the audience that your work has actually brought a community together, a community that likes to go out and get their exercise and be by nature by the beautiful waterfront. But because of your work, people have started to talk to each other.
Yes, it's just amazing, because when I was out in COVID, people didn't even want to look at each other. I think there was such a big fear. And I always say, even a smile would do, but you couldn't even see that because of our masking and stuff. So when I was down there, people were throwing questions at me, asking me what I was doing, was I contracted? I mean, there was all different questions. And I was like, no, I mean, this is a beautiful place. I love the Hudson. I always pick up beaches along the Hudson. My dog and I go out and we just clean up, and I take from Mother Nature. And people started talking, and so it was just a wonderful experience, not only for them, but for me too, because I had been so closed in, I think, after losing my son, and because it was his birthday, I wanted to honor him and just do the fisherman. But because of all the talking and all the communication between people, I ended up doing other children that parents had told me stories of. And I thought maybe if this is bringing healing to me, it would bring healing to other people. So I put their children down there as well, and then the angel, of course, to watch over them. So
yes, and she's still there.
She is laying down, but she's there. Yes, actually, my oldest daughter came with me on my birthday to lift her back up and fix her a little bit. Mary and I went there today. She fell again. We lifted her up and just leaned her against the log. I knew everything would go in the winter. I'm very familiar with the tides. I knew it would stay a few months down there. But once the winter comes and the winds and the snow and rain, you get much higher tides in the winter than you do in the summer.
It's just a beautiful venue for your art. You know, it's a beautiful venue. I was telling Jim before you came, I said that Cathi and Mary are the kind of women that make women like me feel a little bit like wimps, and, you know, because, you know, we don't want to get our hands hurt. You just work with this stuff and you're picking up debris.
Oh.
You're cleaning up the whole riverfront, volunteering, just doing it.
I feel like that's just my part for Mother Nature, you know, and other people too. I mean, who wants to go past a beach and see all that garbage? I can see beyond the garbage and I can see the beauty. So I know that it's a beautiful place. I've seen it before. I've seen it at its pristine. I've seen it at its worst. So when Mary and I were picking up beaches in Lens Cove, I said to her, Mary, I saw another beach. It's beautiful. I've been there by boat, but I've not been down there on foot. Let's go down there on foot. So the first time we went down there on foot, we actually went at the other side of your walkway. You know where you walk all the way down?
Yes.
We went down rocks on low tide, and I came across the rocks through the water to get to the beach. Mary sat behind, this was her first hiking experience on the rocks. She said, I'm going to wait right here for you. You go check it out. I came back. I said, Mary, this is the beautiful beach. You and I can totally clean this one up. It'll look great. There's lots of nice driftwood I can get down there. She's like, okay, we have to find an easier way to get down. And we did. We found an easier way to get down. It's still not by any means easy, but it is easier to get down there.
Didn't you recently pick up 20 pounds of garbage off the beach?
Oh, yeah, we recently took at least that off the beach. I've taken over 100 bags of garbage out of Lens Cove alone. So that was a lot. Over there, we took 40 bags. And the great thing was people were walking by, and Mary and I would ask them, hey, you look strong. Do you think you could take this? You know, if we lift this up to you, could you take it and just sit it on the walkway for us? They would actually walk it all the way out to the garbage for us. They were just so grateful that we were doing it, they chipped in. And so people were just talking and smiling, and everybody was there. It gave me such a good feeling. I've done it for so long and never gotten any thank yous. Not even from my village. And my village knows that I go into Lens Cove and pick up all that. I've met the mayor in there, but I've never gotten, I mean, a verbal thank you, yes, but never really, but I didn't do it for that. I did it for me because it's such a beautiful place. And I bring my grandchildren there, and my kids grew up there. The same swing was hanging that I swung my kids on in Lens Cove, was hanging still for my grandchildren. It's just a beautiful place.
That's very telling. To me, that's very telling.
Yeah.
You know, that it's the same one that you used to swing on. And I met one of your grandchildren, Eli.
Yes.
What a trip. He is something.
Yeah.
Very, very, I'd say, intuitive young man and very personable.
Yes.
Very personable young man. And he could tell that he loves you so much.
He does.
The way he looks at his grandma, you know, it's like,
because Grandma's on the crazy side, you know. Grandma's 63 now. Grandma still goes out and builds forts, and you know, we do all kinds of things together.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
You told me when I saw you came to my studio recently, and you said, yeah, when my husband and I built our vacation home together, I mean, you get out there.
Oh, yeah.
And you're doing man's work.
I do. I enjoy it. I like to see the end result. You know, I've built walkways in front of my house with rock. I can remember years ago when we first bought our home, I went and picked up all the little bricks that were at George's Island from where the brick factory used to be, and got bucketfuls of them, brought them home, made paths in my yard with the brick, and decorated around the tree. It was great just to use what was there. You know, that was so beautiful. It came out beautiful. Since then, I've had to redo it, but...
So you sort of re-engineer, repurpose
I do.
the garbage.
I do. I like to repurpose stone and flowers and driftwood and...
Glass.
I mean, glass. The glass is just so beautiful.
You did some beautiful
The
candlestick holders. They are just magnificent. When I saw those, and to think that it was somebody that someone discarded. Now, you explained something to me that this garbage ends up down there, not because people throwing it off the bridge.
Right.
It's washing up from the water.
It's not only that, it's years of debris that have been left on the beaches that is turned over from the tides.
Yeah.
You know, the wood will turn and there'll be garbage under the wood, so it'll show up the next day or whatever. And it's a cycle. Like, even though you go, you clean up the beach and it looks spotless and you think, wow, this is great, I'm going to leave it. You can't leave it. You have to go back several times, maybe another year, to really keep it clean.
Yeah.
You know, because stuff is turning up all the time. So it's just, but it's a good project for me. I like to take the dog out.
Nice
Mary
dog.
and I love being outside.
What's your dog's name again?
Nico.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nico. He's getting old, but he acts like a puppy when he's at the river. So.
I noticed.
Yeah. He loves it. Bring gloves, my own plastic bags, but people have been great about helping.
I think a lot of people are being more cognizant.
I think so.
About what they see, the debris that they see. I'm not going to talk about myself, but I'll say I'm one of these people that might pick something up because it's there,
right.
if it's convenient, and throw it out. But sometimes I go a little bit more out of my way if I see something. I can't go wading out in the water, but to pick up something, and it bothers me. Knowing that you and Mary have done so much work to beautify or to bring back the beautification of the shoreline, it bothers me more to see the garbage than it used to.
I know, doesn't it?
It does. It bothers
after
me.
you see something clean and then you see it filling up again, you do. Your first thought is people. Oh, they're throwing it off the bridge.
Yeah.
But really, that's not the case. I mean, some of it may be a water bottle or two, maybe.
Yeah.
But most of it is just coming in from the river. You know, I don't know if it's the other side, if it was stuff sitting there, but
There's no way to know.
There's no way to know, but it just floats in all the time.
Yeah.
It's constant.
I wouldn't want people to take you for granted, to think, oh yeah, she's going to clean it up, I don't have to do it.
No. I'll spend some time there, but it's not my life's. I like to go to other places too, because the first load we took out of there was over 40 bags.
That's a lot of garbage.
That is a lot of garbage. That's a lot of garbage, but you'd be surprised how fast it goes. Once you start, it just goes so fast, It's such an accomplishment. Like even today when we went and took 2 bags off of the same beach, we looked at it and said, oh my God, it looks so much better.
It doesn't take much to just...
It doesn't. It doesn't.
At all, to just pick up a little something.
And there's garbage pails all along that walkway.
That's a beautiful place to walk because there's no excuse for throwing anything
down.
None.
There's none.
There is a receptacle every several feet.
Yes.
Just as much as there's an emergency phone every several feet.
Right.
But I really appreciate that you do this.
Thank you, but nobody else is going to do it. There's not a village or a town or something that direct their men down there to pick up along the beach. I understand the walkways and how beautiful they are, but you also need to worry about the outer edges of that. What are they seeing? What are we walking by? Before you walk by that, it really wasn't that pretty.
Yeah, you look down, you think to yourself, like, really?
When you saw the sand at low tide, you'd think, oh, how beautiful. But all you had to do was just move your eye over to where the wood and the trash was. Yeah. And it kind of just like...
takes it all away.
It takes it away.
Yeah. But I think that your sculptures being out down there, gave more meaning to the area. I know that your son passed away, and he's the fisherman.
He is.
I've said, who is this? Who is it? Initially I thought it might have had to be a man that did this because it's like big pieces of wood. I assumed, and when I found out it was a woman, I was shocked. And I just want to give a shout out to my friend Rhonda, who made the effort to find Mary. Because I kept saying, she's like, don't worry, I can find anybody. I was like, what are you, like the FBI? She said, don't worry, I'll find out for you. I saw her the other day.
I have no computer. Just recently got a cell phone for my birthday, so at least you and I now can be in contact.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Yes, I've made a new friend with you, and I do enjoy it. And you're very much the au naturel. Yeah, and I'm not very indoor. I'm I'm an outdoor girl. I always was outdoor.
And you're not the technophile thing is very new for you.
No, tools I can handle. Computers and cell phones, that's a different story. But, you know, my husband's a carpenter, so I do know how to use most tools properly. So.
Yeah. So you work with him, and so you're used to working with a lot of like wood and things like that.
Everything's wood. Yes, he made all the dressers in our home. You know, he's made settles to sit on, to put our gloves in, and yeah, we fix our own home together. You know, lay flooring, whatever it is we have to do, build decks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the knowledge of...
You have the knowledge and you have the appreciation of it.
Oh, big appreciation. And I have lots of little tricks with, you know, fixing wooden things, you know, the glue, the pegs, the drilling ahead of time. I get it.
Yeah, so you know the the drill.
Right. That's my favorite tool is the drill, the wood glue, and I think my circular saw, because that's so much easier to use than my... other saw, I forget.
Look at this woman sitting here. Yeah, pretty earrings.
But I have all these
She's so cute. My circular saw.
That was given to... The kids gave me that 5 years ago, and I literally had to have Christopher take me in the woods to show me how to use a saw.
And you learned.
And I learned. He took me in. We cut some wood to get some driftwood just laying by the beaches, and that's how I learned to use the saw.
So you're comfortable with it?
I'm very comfortable with the saws. This year I got a small Milwaukee. The one I had was very big and bulky and heavy. And putting that in my backpack with the circular saw, everything barely fit. So.
Yeah, so this is more manageable.
So Joe bought me a nice small one this year for Christmas so I can do my thing at the beaches, you know.
It's nice that they know what you want.
It is. It's great. They've gotten me backpacks and walking sticks and... You know, now the cell phone, because God forbid mommy's out in the woods and falls.
Well, that's important, you know.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder how he made out without them years ago.
By the grace of God, I don't know how. Because I've fallen and broken bones in there. And
wow.
Well, I have osteopenia from the chemotherapy years and years ago.
So you've been through
So I have to be very careful with stepping and walking. So I try to pay attention.
That's a good thing.
It is. It's kind of like my Tai Chi to be out in the nature and walk the rocks and, you know.
And you're confident with it. See, that's the whole thing. You're really sure-footed and confident about it.
I am. I'm very confident. Today, two people actually asked, how did you get down there? How do you go down there? And when they saw how we got to the beach, they were like, oh, I don't think I can do that. I said, no, you don't want to do that unless you really know what you're doing.
Yeah, you got the right footwear.
Right. Absolutely the right footwear. You have to have boots, hiking boots. Sneakers, forget. You can get really hurt with sneakers.
Slide. I wouldn't wear.
You would slide. You have to make sure too, if you're climbing things, the sand is off the bottom of your feet.
Right.
Because you'll slip right off a rock or slip. You know, there's a lot of little things you have to be careful with. You know, when you're hiking down there. But
so you mentioned Tai Chi. You even had a sculpture of a Tai Chi person down there.
You know, that actually was, we kept trying to make a runner because the grief group I go to, I just joined a grief group this past year. I refused it for years. I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I just joined it. And the woman who runs the grief group, her daughter, which was friends with my daughter's husband, passed away in her 20s 20 years ago of a heart disease. So I wanted to honor her. She was a runner. So I tried so hard to get her to stand on the beach to run. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't get the big body with the skinny legs to stay still. So I made her sitting down, and that's why she has the scarf on, because it was over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And she was an avid runner and had a heart attack. They found that she had a heart disease that was undiagnosed.
Yeah, it happens.
Which is so sad. You know, death happens in all ways to people at all ages, you know, and it's a shock. It's not how they died, it's how they lived.
It's how they lived, yeah.
And that's what it was all about, how they lived. And I tried to make all the kids look joyful. I wanted them all to be happy in their spot, doing what they loved. Yeah. And I do know that Miles is the name of the young boy who had the guitar. His mom said she went down there every Sunday.
Wow.
just to see him, and how grateful she was that I put him there next to Christopher.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I've seen people standing on that footbridge and just, I remember, and I talk to people a lot when I'm out there, because I'm out there most days.
Yeah, I know you are. I've seen you a lot.
Yeah, I'm out there most days, and I remember one time, and sometimes I stop and I'm just stand there, and I said, people probably think I'm like really weird just standing there at the bridge, and I'm just standing there as I wanted to hear, and this woman was doing the same thing, and I said hello to her, and she said, I'd just like to stand here and listen to the water. Mm-hmm. You know, she didn't say that she had any connection with any of the sculptures down there, but, you know, I know that you had shared with me, like, what happened to your son, which was so tragic.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of a problem. I mean, I don't know if this interview should be about that, but I think that you took your art and your talent and you turned it into something good, and then you shared it with so many people.
I did share it. That's one thing about me. I am extremely honest. I have nothing to hide. My son thought he was getting oxycodone, and it was full of fentanyl. It was the very first time he did it, and so that's what killed him.
Yeah, and he wanted the oxycodone because he had been prescribed it for an injury.
He had a back injury from a motorcycle accident that he did on July 4th, and this was September 12th. And
yeah.
It's a day that you never forget. You never forget that. But I want to, now that I'm 3 years from it, and I'll tell you, it gave me a lot of healing speaking to people, you know, about their loss, my loss. There were so many prayers said for my son, because as soon as I told him, you know, this is for my son's birthday, and I lost him 3 years ago, and then they would all say we would pray, we're thinking about him, you know.
Yeah.
And it helped heal me too.
Yeah.
Just conversation, really.
Yeah.
Because we were 2 years in COVID not speaking to anybody. It was so hard to deal with death within my house because it was just the immediate family, and we were all suffering so much. But once I was able to get outside and express myself again, I felt so much better. And just, you know, you could talk to a total stranger, and just that little smile they give you is enough to change your day.
This is true.
You know?
I
like
agree.
you and I.
Like, yes.
When we smiled at each other, I knew immediately we were going to be friends.
Yeah, right? You
could just see the genuine, you know, happiness, love for people, for places, for things. I mean,
I loved you for doing what you did.
Thank you.
Because I just hear nothing but good things about your work down there. And again, I have to say, I mean, you might go on this trail every day, you see people, you say hello, you might nod. It's usually just a nod, acknowledgement. But what's happened is that we stop and we have conversations.
I see that.
We make friends.
Lots of friends. It's just been unbelievable. I've been given so many business cards of people, you know, who've come to my craft fair and said, you know, oh, you're the one that did that. And I said, yeah, I did it, you know. And and at first to me, it was not a big deal. It just came natural to me, you know.
It's a big deal, trust me.
But it ended up being a big deal, and now I see why. I feel all the emotion, and I see the people come together. It's just wonderful. You know, and the beach looks beautiful. Even now that everything fell down, a little cleanup today.
The angel girl's back up.
The angel's back up. The bird is sideways because the entire tree turned sideways.
Yeah.
But I had everything pegged and glued. So there's, you know, whatever comes apart, it's all made of the driftwood. Nothing is going to, there's no garbage in it, is what I'm trying to say.
Right, right.
But I found Christopher's hat today, his favorite fishing hat.
Oh, good.
And I took it home, so I could wash it and keep it, you know.
Yeah, no, you want to do that.
But I'll tell you, I won't do that again, but people keep asking me, are you going to do something else? I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do something quite humorous next year.
Okay. Yeah, we all like to laugh.
Since I'm feeling so happy now, I think we'll do something humorous and see what comes of it.
I think that it'll evolve naturally.
It will.
I just have this feeling. I want to thank you so much for doing what you do. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people. I've interviewed a lot of artists, and I'll say everyone is sensational, whatever they do. But there's something about what you did that touched my heart. Jim knows. It's just very emotional for me.
Oh, thank you, Toni. It was emotional for me too. If I did, you know what? If I didn't run to the place that I love so much, which is the outdoors and the river, if I didn't run that day and say I have to do something, I can't stay inside this home when he's turning 30 and I don't have him.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. He could see it from heaven.
Yeah.
And it's a gift.
You have to believe that if you choose to.
I do believe. I totally believe to choose God in my life. And,
yeah.
And your God could be anybody. I'm not telling you who your God has to be.
Yeah.
But everybody looks up to a higher power. There is a higher power for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So what are your plans? You said that you're going to be going back in the spring and kind of doing something different.
I think I am. I think, you know, now is the best time. If anybody wants to look for Driftwood, now's the time to do it. Go to your favorite beaches and look, because there's so much coming up on the beach now.
Yeah.
You know, I don't only look for Driftwood. I must have over 150 old bottles, probably 1920 and before,
yeah.
That I find coming out of the river. You know, I found little metal things from the top of engineers' hats.
Yeah.
And
oh, wow.
a few clay pipe ends that I donated down to the Croton Point Museum. He's got a couple things, an arrowhead. You know.
I was amazed that you had taken like pieces of glass, because there's so many little pieces of glass and they kind of glisten. And, you know, they look pretty. It's not like you have tried, and you're kind of looking at it at certain times of the day, the way the light hits it. But I saw you had made beautiful candlestick holders out of them.
You know, it's so cute. I used to bring home shells and little rocks and things like that. I never brought the glass home to the girls, even though it's not sharp. And my Cassie made me a little candle holder out of some shells I brought home. And she used like a little piece of pipe or something. So I said, wow, I always find those bottlenecks down Charles Point. I'll flip them upside down and I'll use my glass. And I just started making them from that. The thing that I love most about that is that these things have history. They're so old. Some of that glass you'll never find today out there, you know?
Yeah.
It's very old. It's been washed. It's great to work with. So that's where I actually got the idea, was my daughter putting the shells together and making a little candle holder for me. I said, I can do that with the bottlenecks and turn them upside down. And
I just love, they're so pretty.
Thank you.
You know, I'm happy with my fisherman.
Thank you.
Yeah, I talk to him sometimes. I say, I talked to your mother today.
Thank you. Thank you for talking.
Yeah. You know, it's just a beautiful thing, and it's very rare to find someone like you around. And I'm so happy to know that you're on the planet with us.
Oh, thank you, Toni.
Yeah.
And you too, honey. I was so grateful to meet you. You know, Mary kept telling me, you gotta meet Toni. She's so nice. Okay. Then she showed me your picture. I said, okay, let's, you know, I'm not the outspoken girl. I'm not changing the world. I've always been very private, just go out there by myself and do my own thing. But this kind of brought me to a public light now. But I was so glad to meet you. And so glad.
And I'm so grateful that you agreed, because I understand it was kind of like kicking and screaming, because you're not one to sit here in front of a camera.
You know, go through questions,
but you're doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are my rock star.
Thank you,
Thank
Toni.
you so much, Cathi, for coming on the show. Thanks for coming to see the Energy Stoners Cafe and talk with TQ. And I'm so appreciative that you tune in every week. And as promised, as I always promise, I'll find the most interesting people I can find on the planet to present to you. Thank you. Happy New Year.